Lamile from South Africa.
Ah,
You've made an emphasis on peace in your speech throughout as what I called a cornerstone of public diplomacy. I want your response. Assessing the international politics, trade, how it relates to it. Can this peace be achievable without justice?
well, yes, it is a very good question, but it is even more complicated now, because now we are aiming even to achieve peace between ourselves. The problem is starting to be more rooted and deeper in our soul, not just between people, but unfortunately the situation, I would talk about my country, and I think you had also the same experience in South Africa many years ago. But I think you succeed in your country to establish, I would say, or to seed the right, or to plant the right seeds for peace in your soul and in your community, rather than to plant hatred and animosity and between your peoples. But unfortunately, what we are facing now, let us say in Egypt, for instance, we are a country where we are looking for peace, internal peace, not just even peace with the others, but we are looking for peace between ourselves. And every family in Egypt now is deeply divided, to different, I would say, directions and beliefs. So the problem is so hard now in order to try to say that peace is a real notion which we are looking for. So I think our mission is now so complicated because we have to address ourselves first, and we have to deal with ourselves and to deal with the same society, the same people in the same country, in order to achieve a real peace, and then maybe we can look after, beyond our borders. But justice, as you said, this is one of the main reasons behind the revolution in Egypt on the 25th of January, that people were seeking for a real justice in this country, especially social justice, which is, we suffered a lot from the lack of this social justice. And till now, we didn't find a way. Until now, we didn't find the right, plan in order to achieve this social justice. So I guess we will be involved in this kind of internal disputes and internal, I would say, hatred for a long time, till we will have the right way to, which will give us the idea, or let us say the notion that yes, we have now a real peace in our society, and then after that we can deal with the others and we can talk about a global peace. So I'm so sorry to tell you that we are in a very critical time now in Egypt, and we are facing the same problems which you faced in your country, but I am very proud to say that you already overcome these problems in a very civilized way.
Salam, Zahran from Lebanon. I want to ask you, Excellency, about the Arab League strategy in the conflict resolution in the Arabic world conflicts, especially after the Arab Spring. The youth are seeing the Arab fall after that. So what's the strategy for the Arab League? Thank you.
I'm sorry to say that, or let us say I'm afraid to say that there is no clear strategy for the Arab League in the conflict resolutions in the Arab world. And we have a lot of, I would say, problems. The one like in Syria, in Libya, I think the Arab League was always behind, the international efforts. They never try to initiate, I would say, a real strategy and to be followed. The Arab League is so weak, and why it is weak? Because we are the countries where we are I would say, not giving them the good mandate in order to be more stronger. So the Arab League, I can say that is not capable even to solve any of the problems which we are facing now, and it's not even directed, the real efforts of this league for the social development and the economic development. We are just talking about politics and talking about the differences between leaders in the Arab League, but we never had a real plan in order to foster the social development or the economic development in our part, in our region. So we need another revolution, for the Arab League in order to have a lot of different perspective towards the real problems which we are facing now.
It's not enough, this revolution we have.
Yeah, we are, but the problem that as I said, it is Arab League is a group of, I would say, willingness from the Arab leaders, and all of them, they are not so keen to have strong bodies, governing the situation in the Arab world. They are just keeping it as a sort of, I would say, forum for debates, and that's it. But we never had a serious action to solve any kind of problem. Even for the Syrian problem, we were behind the UN. And the Arab foreign minister, when they always, having these kind of meetings to consult about the progress in Syria and how to combat the situation there and how to help the Syrian people, we didn't have effective, I would say, decisions in that regard. We were always, behind the UN, and even Al-Akhdar al-Brahimi, when we choose him as a special envoy for the Arab League and the UN. We don't have even the ability and the courage to have our own envoy to solve our problems. So I am sorry to tell you that the Arab League, I think, after the revolution, as you said, in the Arab world, I think the main subject which they should address is the social development and the economic development and education. And let us keep the politics and this kind of problems which will not be solved because we don't have any kind of firm willingness to solve this kind of problem. So I think the best thing for the Arab League to address certain problems which is now prevailing in the Arab world.
Your Excellency, thank you for that wonderful speech. I feel it when you were making your speech yesterday and that of today, but also
Could you introduce yourself as well,
okay.
Asif? Could you introduce yourself as well? Could you introduce yourself?
Okay, I am Dr. Francis Ngozi Chukwukere from Nigeria.
Ah, okay.
Thank you.
I went to Abuja many times.
Okay, you'll be there soon. I hope you'll visit very soon.
It's
too.
a lovely place. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Sir, when you speak of Egypt, the nation and the uprisings there, there doesn't seem to be any hope about Egypt emerging in future as one strong united state, united country. And you were once an ambassador. The Arab League is probably not working now. And those behind the uprisings, well, those that made it happen were not only the adults, but also the youths.
Yeah.
Now, with the kind of divisions, with the kind of problems in the Arab world, especially in Egypt, specifically in Egypt, there doesn't seem to be any headway for a lasting solution. And apparently, this is probably the first time you are experiencing this kind of upheaval, this kind of crisis. Comparing it with South Africa is an anomaly because South Africa had theirs for so many years before they emerged a stronger country. Do you have an NGO? Okay, I reckon that Well, we're all getting older. What would you like to be remembered for? In 30 years from now, 40 years from now, in what way have you been, are you able to help in engendering peace and stability in Egypt, besides calling for another revolution rather than election? Thank you, sir.
You know, Egypt is facing a very critical, I would say, time now. Yes, we already embarked on a real revolution. The people and the young people, they went to the streets and they changed the president, and they were trying to change the system, and they were looking for welfare and prosperity and justice and social justice and many things, you know, for a better life in Egypt. And unfortunately, we didn't use the transitional period, you know, in the right way, and to try to achieve these goals, which drive the young people to go to the streets and to sacrifice their blood and to try to achieve the idea of having a real freedom in our country. We are facing a lot of trouble. As I said yesterday, our economy is start to melt down, and this will be a real problem. We lost almost the tourism industry because, you know, there is a 30%, I would say, reduction in the visitors to Egypt. And we have many other problems, especially the people now, they are looking for a real justice, and they are asking for their rights to live in a good way. So and in the meantime, we don't have, I would say, a real consensus inside the country itself, and the people, they are divided, as you mentioned, and as I mentioned yesterday. So the young people also lost I would say, the hope to have a better life and even opportunity to have jobs and to have a better future. So the whole situation is a real mess now in Egypt, and we cannot say that we are in the right way to have a roadmap to a real progress in our country. We still need maybe some time, and we still need also to, as I said, to have peace between the people inside Egypt, because, you know, the situation now is completely changed before the revolution. We have a lot of divided, and even, you know, every group is strictly adheres to their ideas and to their minds, and they never even try to listen to the others or to understand the other. Egypt will remain Egypt, and nothing will, maybe we'll have some problems for a certain period of time, but I think in the near future we will overcome all these problems and we will regain our image and our role, and I am sure of that. But unfortunately, the only problem which we are facing now is the economy, and we don't have the luxury to spend another 2 years for a transitional period where we will lose all our, I would say, reserve, the hard currency reserve, and this will be a real problem for the Egyptian people. So we need a decisive and some actions in order to regain the revive of our economy very soon, because let us say we can try to encourage the tourism industry to gain the same position like before, and also we can choose the construction field. We can I would say try to encourage people, you know, to start to build again in Egypt, because, you know, and to investors also to come back to the Egyptian market. We have a lot of things to do, but unfortunately politics is trying to deprive us from this right, and that's why we are so late. And even this kind of problems which we are facing now, it will give us a very hard time in the near future to regain our position economically and politically and socially. So I'm asking for a quick solution and a quick remedy to this, illness society which we are facing now.
Yes, sir. There are no quick fixes to anything. And some countries, I believe there are no quick fixes to many things. And some countries that have died economically have had opportunities to rise again. And if the national results are dwindling and in the next 2 years there will be nothing left, there will still be humans left, sir. I suggest you start a peace process. You were once an ambassador. Start a peace process, start an NGO or anything. But anything about revolution, the shedding of blood and youths shedding their blood on the streets of Egypt, if you are calling for it, sir, I do not support. You being once an ambassador, you could start up a peace process, an NGO. Even the Arab League you thought was not working, you can even walk through there. You, sir, as an individual, could put up a lot of changes in Egypt. I strongly believe that because I feel your passion. But perhaps your direction, I do not share it. There should not be any further shedding of blood because it's the blood of youths that are shed. Adults run away, only for the youths to shed their blood. Thank you, sir.
I agree with you, and I can tell you that I am already, established a new NGO. I am the head of it, the president of a new NGO in Egypt, and we call it For the Sake of Egypt. This is the title of this NGO, and our main issue is to promote tourism again, and that's why we are traveling to Dubai, to Bahrain, to Kuwait, in order to promote the Arab tourists to come back to Egypt. And in the meantime, we will direct our revenues to upgrade some of the hospitals in Egypt which need a real help in order to upgrade the equipments which is completely destroyed during the revolution.
Allow me to ask a follow-up question to Ambassador Orabi. Very often cultural diplomacy is thought to be something between countries, so between Egypt and Germany, etc. Based on what you also just underlined, even though, of course, economy is priority number one, I wonder what opportunities you would see for cultural diplomacy within Egypt. And there also, this leads into the conversation we had yesterday, what ICD can do or what an NGO can do within a country like Egypt. Do you see space or opportunities for cultural diplomacy now within Egypt? As opposed to just between Egypt and other countries?
Yes, there is always a place for cultural diplomacy to be, exercised inside Egypt, and I think we did 2 events with a colleague of mine in social clubs in Egypt. One of the Gezira Club, and another one Said Club, and we were trying to promote this idea by having a sort of message that art and music, they are so essential to our soul. So that's why we should try to use it in our, as an indirect message to people that music and art could play a very important role in order to give you peace of mind and the peace of soul. So we are trying to do some events in Egypt, but it is a little bit sluggish. I mean, the progress is a little bit sluggish, not so as we wish. But I think we can, yes, play more role in that regard, and we can do a lot of events with using the notion of public diplomacy and the culture of peace. But I think what we need in Egypt is maybe also some other, I would say, different issues, like trying to listen to each other and trying to understand each other and trying to, I would say, love each other.
I look forward to continuing the brainstorming with you. I've now seen a flurry of hands. Maybe I'll give, since you're right here, Professor Chakraborty first, then we'll go to the back, ladies first, and then we'll come to the front. If I could ask you all to keep your questions, again, concise, to the point. We'll try to get as many people as we can, and also introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Professor Chakraborty. I teach here. What is the national brand you would like to see take over now? or the one that you would like to create for
It's a
Egypt?
good question. Yeah. Civilized country earn a lot of deep rooted in the history. Moderate country, civil country, playing important role, to enlighten the region itself, or the whole region which we were living in, and this is the image which we had for the past, I would say, 1,000 years. Egypt is Egypt from the pharaonic era till now, and it will not change the image. Will not change the image of this country. But now we have a lot of problems in Egypt, and I remember one of the tourists or the tourism campaign were even calling for that the Egyptian always smiling, and I guess we already lost this brand also, our smile. So we have to try to reinvigorate the Egyptian mentality, the Egyptian personality, the Egyptian culture. All these things, it is well known in the region, and everybody knows about the Egypt and how we helped, the humankind to have a great civilization, and how we were even instrumental in all the peace process in our region. So this is Egypt. We cannot be, part of the axis of evil. Again, will not happen, and we will not tolerate that, and we will not tolerate also a dictatorship or fascism in our country. So this is the Egyptian way of life, and it will remain like this, and we will combat any kind of change.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to the back, ladies first, and then we'll come to the front. If you could please introduce yourself and stand as well, that'd be great.
Dr. Cathy Baldwin, a postdoctoral research fellow in anthropology, University of Oxford. I just wondered if there's any hope that Egypt or any of the other post-revolution Arab countries might see any possible way forward in contributing something new in terms of building relations with Israel and contributing to the peace process in Palestine and Israel.
Well, I can tell you that the last accidents between the Hamas and Israel, I think Egypt played the traditional role, which is always playing, to try to pacify the situation between the two sides, and we already succeed on that. And as I can see, the recent government adheres to the principle of peace with Israel, adheres to the treaty between Egypt and Israel, and but I cannot tell you that we will have a warm relationship with Israel under the present government, but at least we will keep the I would say the not cold peace, but at least peace. I will not call it cold, but we will try to maintain the peaceful relationship with this country, and of course we will help the Palestinians to protect their rights. And I think we also we now are playing this mediation between Hamas and Fatah to have a common ground between the two sides in order to face any Israeli threats in the near future. So we will play our traditional role. I can judge the short term, but I cannot tell you what kind of relationship between Egypt and Israel on the long term under the recent regime. Nobody can predict what will be in the future between the two sides.
Thank you very much. Let's come to the front of the room if we can. I think he's been waiting long.
I think he's been well.
Yeah? Or, all right, then right afterwards. Okay, please. Go ahead, please, and please introduce yourself. And again, try to keep the questions as concise as possible because I see a number of more hands.
Okay, my name is Amir Nabi. I work for the Ministry of Culture of Egypt as a General Director of International Festival Department. Firstly, I would like to thank His Excellency Ambassador Al-Orabi for what he said, and I think as an Egyptian, he tell what most of the Egyptians want to say. But allow me to say my humble opinion to my colleague from Nigeria. In my humble opinion, to put any country in progress, you need only one thing. Only one thing is to raise awareness between the people. Without that, you can't do anything. To raise awareness, you have two ways. First way, to bring children and to give them well educated, to tell them the right thing and the wrong thing. And unfortunately, we don't have much time to do that. Second thing, to put all the people in crisis, in problem, to make them feel that they are in the problem. So they need to listen to each other, to speak to each other, to find new way. So we are now in the next position. Maybe that lead to good thing, and maybe it will destroy the country. But fortunately, Egypt is a very old country. So I believe that we can find the way to discuss and to accept each other. We need only to raise awareness. So what happened in Egypt now, it's good thing, it's not bad thing. Because if you went there, you will find illiterate, children, elders. All of them speak about the destiny, our own destiny, what we're supposed to do, and that is was absent in the past. But now, if you went to Egypt, if you go to Egypt, you will love to see each one speak to each other. We have to work together or fight each other. That's raise awareness. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's continue with one of our MA students who's patiently waiting there. Okay. If you could please introduce yourself as well and keep it concise.
Hi. My name is Serjan. I am one of the master students here. I'm not going to speak for audience. I'm going to ask my questions to you. My question is, Egypt, as you know, has a unique history, and also it has a 1,500 years of Islamic history, and just been through a revolution, new revolution. And this revolution is supported by the powers, the imperial powers, which created the borders, actual borders of Egypt. And it is supported. Isn't it disturbing that you made a revolution that's supported by imperialistic powers of the world? And my question is also, you spoke about the eternal peace, and what the government thinks about eternal peace, like what kind of treaty they are going to run with Hebrew people, Christian people, and the people who deny to believe in a God and everything, like atheists and everything. My questions are this, so thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Well, I can tell you that the government has no, I would say, attention to this kind of how to solve the internal peace, or how to reach the internal peace between the Egyptians now. I didn't see any efforts at all since, I would say, since the 11th of February 2011, which we can consider it as a new era in Egypt. I didn't see any efforts from anybody in order to achieve or to realize this kind of internal peace. On the contrary, there is some media, apparatus, and some journalists and some politicians. They are, trying to provoke people and even to deepen the division between the Egyptians. So I didn't see it as a real effort in order to tackle this issue. Your first part of your question, it is too early maybe to judge who, because we are in the Middle East always under the oppression of this kind of conspiracy theory, and so it is a little bit early, to judge if we can say that yes, the revolution was, some people supported it or not. But I can tell you exactly that the people went out to the streets. Nobody triggered this. The revolution. Even this guy in Tunisia who burned himself, nobody asked him to do that. People, they suffered from many reasons, and that's why they went out to the streets and trying to topple or to change the regime in the Arab world. So let me tell you that, yes, there is some theories saying that it was a sort of change in the Middle East under the auspices of some certain powers in the West. But I can tell you, we know these theories, and it is even you can check the internet, you can find a lot of discussion about that. Today we were discussing the plans of Richard Pearl. You remember him? He was one of the President Bush, the son. He was working in the Pentagon at the time, and he was talking about the change in the Middle East, and he was even mentioning, Iraq and Syria and Lebanon and Egypt, and he said that Egypt will be the grand prize or the Grand Prix of these efforts. So at the time we were just reading these theories, but without any imagination how it will be implemented. But I can assure you that the Arab Spring, I think it came from the people themselves. Nobody triggered or pushing them or even forcing them to go to the streets in order to implement the American theories or the American intentions in the region.
Let's
We have
continue.
one more question.
Okay.
Your Excellency, I'd like to thank you for your presentation. I just recently returned from Iran. Oh,
From
sorry,
where?
My name is Darnell Summers. I just returned from Iran.
From Iran?
Yes.
Okay.
I was there last September and also last month. And I was invited there to take part in several conferences. One was the Hollywoodism conference. The other one was a conference and a film festival in September, a New Horizon First International Film Festival. I'm a filmmaker myself. I'd like to ask you, because I did meet people from Egypt and Iran who are also invited for you to comment on the relations between Iran and Egypt. And also, there seems to be a misconception about just where Egypt is. I meet so many people who don't realize that Egypt is in Africa. And another part of that consternation is the fact that the Egyptians themselves, a lot of them don't say that they're Africans. So I'd like you to kind of like give me your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Well, for Iran, I think we have a new approach towards Iran. We have a new policy towards this country. Iran is a very important player in our region. Maybe they are a little bit aggressive when they are trying to implement their policies in the region. But Egypt also is an important country, and we have our own visions towards the area, and especially the Gulf states and the security of the Gulf states. So that's why we are always, in contradiction between, the two policies and the two strategies in the region. But now, after the arrival of the political Islam in Egypt, I think we have, I would say, President Morsi went there, and President Jad also came to Egypt. And I can tell you that these two visits were under the international gathering, not just a bilateral visiting. But I can tell you that we have a new policies and a new approach. Our Minister of Tourism, he was there in Tehran 2 days or 3 days ago, and he already signed a new agreement which will allow them, the Iranians, to come to visit Egypt to a certain places, and they will be granted their visas upon their arrival to the airport. They will have to, each one should have or pay $100 in order to enter the Egyptian soil. And this will be the new step, for having a new relationship with Iran. I can tell you that we might face a real progress in our policy towards Iran. And my personal opinion, when I was a minister, I was against this kind of warm approach. I was, advocating the idea of having a gradual approach towards them and using the cultural diplomacy first. Tourism also is a cultural diplomacy, but I think I thought it might be even better to start, gradually and having a strategic dialogue with them to put the red lines, in front of them, especially concerning the security of the Gulf states. What is the second? I can't recall. The second part you mentioned? Africa, yes, Africa. This is a very important thing, and you are absolutely right. Africa is maybe one of the important circles of our diplomacy, but we failed actually in our policies towards African countries, and we have a lot of problems now, especially with the Nile Basin countries. And I hope with the new regime in Egypt that we will pay more attention to our relation to African countries. I was working with Boutros Ghali for many years when I was a young diplomat, and I went with him to many African countries. We still have a lot of credibility in Africa. You can find President Nasser pictures in different places. You can find a lot of construction companies doing, building schools, airports, hotels, many things. And you can also find a lot of Egyptian products, in the African markets. We are part of COMESA. We are, of course, an active member of the African organization. And we are also part of the NEPAD, which is now talking about the good governance and many other things. So we are active in Africa, but I can say that we are always looking north. We never try to look south and to enhance the dialogue between the south countries.
Is there a final question, or if not, then we actually are out of time, but I want to maybe take this opportunity, Your Excellency, to thank you once again. We really appreciate you having come, made the journey extra to Berlin just for this conference. And really, I'm also very, very happy that this will serve as a new beginning for us to continue our collaboration.
I am sure of that.
Such a wonderful partnership when you were serving as ambassador here in Germany. Now I think the potential is even greater since you're based in Cairo. So if we could please all join in extending our very, very sincere gratitude to Ambassador Orabi.
Thank you.